Logan, welcome to Working Dads. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm well. I'm refreshed. I had a good night's
Okay.
sleep, ready to rock and roll. But Logan, tell us a little bit more about your family dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you for having me on. I've my beautiful wife. We just celebrated our 13-year anniversary. And we, it's been an amazing 13 years. We've had a lot going on in a short period of time. When you look back, I think on 13 years, the saying that keeps coming to mind is, the days are long, but the years are short. And
Hmm.
so seeing how much has happened in that time is crazy, including, we have five children, uh, three girls, two boys, um, ranging from ages 1 up through 11. So we're getting a very interesting mix at this time of different things happening in their lives and changes and all of that. And then we actually have my mother-in-law who lives with us as well. So we're a family of eight, no matter where we go and what we do. So there's a lot of us. There's a lot of us.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on a beautiful family.
Thank
So,
you.
tell us a little bit more about the aspects of a busy life, because not only are you a father of five and a house of eight, but
Yeah.
you also have to be able to pay the bills. So, what do you do, and how are you navigating that in order to be able to spend time with not only your family but also be able to perform well at your job?
Yeah, that's a really great question, Jonathan, because first and foremost, I'll be honest, we are a family of Christians. We follow God and lean on Him in all of His understanding and wisdom and guidance in the decisions we make. But that can be really difficult at times. Almost 10 years ago, I sought out to start a charter school in Philadelphia, and that had been my wife and my dream. We lived in Philadelphia for 15 years, and we bought a house and lived in the Kensington section of Philadelphia. And we really felt called to the families and community there. And so we sought out to found Deep Roots Charter School, which was founded in 2018, which transparently is probably, if you think about timing, one of the worst possible times to found a charter school in Philly, because we had 1 year under our belts and then COVID hit.
Mm.
And we made the transition to from in person to virtual learning. We had a full year of virtual learning and then had to go through the emotional turmoil of coming back into the building. Then after that, and working through all of those different pieces. So you can imagine, at that time, the amount of work that I had to put in as the founder. And I definitely had founder syndrome where I felt like every problem was my problem to solve, no matter how big or how small. And so over time, my daughter, was growing at that time. We had three children. My third was actually born the day the charter school was approved, which was hilarious in terms of timing. But seeing them grow, seeing the amount of time that job took from me, seeing what I needed to invest to be able to move forward, we really felt as though we needed to change our focus. Our priorities were getting out of whack. And so we made the decision to move back home for me, which is in Emmaus, PA. We live in Zionsville, just outside of it. And um, there were a lot of decisions that came with that: financial cuts, adjustments in family dynamic, having more children. We had just had our fourth, and then, a year and a half ago, we had our fifth. And so a lot has happened, but every decision we make, we recognize the financial impacts. And sometimes we have to step out in faith. And then other times we recognize that we're going to have to make sacrifices. Recently, about a year ago, I had to make the decision for a period of time to work 2 jobs that was putting me in a place where I was gone throughout the week for 12 plus hours. And that was a lot. And now I'm very fortunate to have the opportunity to add some independent contract work um, along with my full-time job to be able to make ends meet. Um, but a lot of that was stepping out in faith. A lot of that was prayer. A lot of that was taking the time as a family to say, what are our priorities, and making adjustments with our budget, making adjustments with our decision making, just saying like, what's most important to us? And then focusing on putting our money there, because what is most important to people, if you look at their budget, that will tell you what's most important to them.
Mm,
Um, because that's where the money goes. And
yeah.
so that's really been our approach. That's really been what we do. That's really been how we make the decisions we make along the way. And it's not perfect. I also want to name that. It is not perfect. We make mistakes. Um, and then we adjust. We make adjustments from there and go forward.
What was the how did you organize the math behind making those decisions? Did you have it written out? Did you come to the table more or less with the financial aspects, or was it like a partnership in the aspects that you guys sat down for a meeting, a family meeting of some sorts, where you kind of just crunched the numbers and said, our money is allocated in here, 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 and here, and this is where we can cut it? I mean, tell us a little bit about it so other people can potentially have that same conversation if they're going through the same troubles that you once had.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So there was a point in time where we recognized, we really need to sit down and get ourselves organized.
Yeah.
And we were fortunate enough that our church was actually putting on a training called Financial Peace with Dave Ramsey's programming. And so we started utilizing every dollar. We sat down every week to be able to analyze our budget and say, for, it was probably a period of 6 months, we need to look at this every week.
Hmm.
And in that training, I think in any relationship, there is always one person who the numbers come easy to them. And then there's another person where, and I don't mean this in a negative way, they are more of the spender, in the sense that they are the ones who are thinking about, well, we have a birthday coming up, so I need to get that birthday gift. We have sports coming up, so we need to get new sports gear. They're
Hmm.
thinking about those things. I don't think about those things. I'll be transparent. We just had a birthday this past weekend, and I was like, oh no, we didn't get a gift. My wife already had a gift.
Hmm.
She takes care of that piece. I'm thinking about the numbers, and we respect each other in that, because I will say there was a period of time where we would get frustrated with each other with that. But this training helped us to clarify the strengths of both of those things, while at the same time respecting each other and supporting each other and pushing at the times we need to push. Like, hey, we're not spending that money right now because it's not in our budget. We need to wait and build up to that,
Yeah.
and respecting that and understanding that. And so that training really helped to clarify that for us and help us with getting back on the right track at that time.
Was there and you don't have to answer this in full detail, but was there
Yep,
one thing in particular where you're like, "Oh, wow, that was actually quite interesting that I didn't know that we were spending on, I don't know, potatoes, right? Like chips or
sure.
something along those lines." Like, was there I kind of wanted the like one specific example of like, okay, we went through our credit cards or we went through our whatever and we determined X, and then therefore the result of that, meeting or that conversation allowed us to save, Y. Do you have
Yeah.
any ideas or specific examples that you could provide?
I probably have a few, but I think one of the biggest is Amazon.
Okay.
Amazon has a one-click option. Purchase this thing with one click. And so there's a part of that training that says, like, that's intentionally designed And there's so many other things like that, but I'm using Amazon as the example where it's like, it is too easy on that one click. It is too easy to allow you to make that purchase without thinking too much about it and not thinking about that transaction. So that one click, we had to deactivate several cards. We had to pull back, because then what it made us do was, you have to pull out the card. You have to input the information. You actually have to think about that transaction more, instead of allowing yourself to have that one click feature. And like I said, it wasn't just Amazon. There's other things like that where it's too easy to make that transaction, instead of really thinking about, okay, what is this costing me in making that transaction and making that one click? Because we would see, oh my gosh, our miscellaneous budget, which could be for birthday gifts, it could be for special things that we were trying to plan for each other or plan for our family, it was blowing up. And we got to see that in real time, because the Every Dollar tool tracked that for us. And so we could see
Yeah.
how easy it was for that one click to happen and hurt us in our budget.
Yeah. And do you feel like, you said you took about 6 months or so in order to get to where you wanted to be from a financial standpoint of like receiving the benefits of that. But do you think now to this day you still maintain those checks and balances of like that step? Like, is that still consistently being, considered? And then from a, I guess, and then a follow up to that is how how quickly were you able to receive the benefits of those checks and balances? Like, did you actually see a considerable savings that allowed you the ability to do more things financially, whether it be for your wife, for your partners, for your friends, for the rest of the family?
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely. So you asked two questions. So the first being, some of those checks and balances we still use to this day. Some we've built the habit around, and others we need to improve around, and I think we need to show grace in that with each other to be able to support each other with that. And there are seasons where you have to recognize with your budget, we're going to be stretching ourselves more here for this season. And we're doing it because we feel as though our priorities are in this place. But that. Then you think about those things and you are intentional about that.
Yeah.
And you have conversations about it. It's all about the conversations that you have. Um, and then second, yes, I mean, we love hospitality. My wife and I are huge on the importance of building relationships, hospitality, supporting those in our community around us. And so we will always put ourselves a little bit further and stretch ourselves a little bit further if it means being able to support others, love on others, and being able to be hospitable in the ways that we feel we're called to. Um, but we saw that almost immediately. We saw that transition. Yes, took 6 months to get to what we felt was like a good place, but we saw that happen really quickly, where we were able to do that more and make it even more of a priority for us.
You said a
Yeah.
very interesting word that I use from time to time, but I don't hear too many people say it. But it's the word season.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me a little bit about what that word means to you, and also what would you say is the season that you're in right now?
So real good. Yeah. So when we made the decision, we prayed over it. We talked about it. We walked through, like, for me to work the second job for the extended period of time that I was, we said, this is a season. This isn't permanent. And we need to make sure that it doesn't become permanent. And so there was a point in time towards at the end where I said, I'm burning out. This is too much. And I had the opportunity. I was provided with the opportunity to actually do more. It was going to be I either need to cut the tie now, or I need to commit to this being much, much longer. And because we said this isn't going to be permanent, this is a season, we talked about that on the front end. It made that decision really clear. It
Hmm.
made that decision, you know what? No, now's the time for us to stop this because it's hurting. It will hurt our family too much. It was a great provision for the time that it was. It was a blessing for us. We were very thankful. But at that point, it would be more about what we wanted and like desires than actually what we needed. And what we needed at that time was to actually stop and focus on our family more and the
Yeah.
time with our family more, because that's the greatest currency we have, I believe. You know, when we
Yeah.
talk about financials, I don't talk about I believe, yes, we need to be good stewards of the money that is provided to us, but our greatest financial that people don't talk about enough is our time. And um like, you can always earn more money. You can work harder to earn more money. You can do different things to earn more money, and you have to sacrifice more with that. There's only 24 hours in the day. Everyone only has 24 hours in the day. So why don't we budget our time the same way that we budget our finances?
Hmm.
And so that has to be what I see as our greatest currency.
Yeah. Amen, man. That's well said. I will say, how do you stay organized? Because from dates, right, of birthdays to just I don't know, like doctor's appointments to I'm sure work stuff and wife stuff. Like, is there a system that you have in order to
Yeah.
maintain that level of organization?
Yeah. So, like, I have a lot that's happening. And I utilize a tool that I love now called Motion, where it integrates all of my calendars together, regardless of its Outlook, Gmail, whatever it is,
Motion with
because
an M or with an N?
M, M,
M.
Motion.
M. Okay.
Yeah. And so it integrates all of that into one place. It keeps my tasks in one place, all those different things. So I can see all of my calendars in one place and when different things are happening. So for example, I'll do a quick shout out. I have a podcast myself, very, very different. We focus entirely on comic books and comic movies and all that stuff. So Legion of Comic Correction. But we have our own calendar for that. I just filmed actually late last night. And so that it has to be on the calendar. And my wife and I are very clear and hold each other accountable. If it's not on the calendar, it's not happening. We have to be very, very clear about that. And then once a week, we have scheduled on our calendar time for us to sit down and review the next week, going over what is happening. So, for example, I have two of my kids have games tonight in completely different places. Well, we both can't be in two places at one time, so we have to divide and conquer. That's understood with our kids, but then we get to have conversations with them ahead of time and after to talk about the importance of that, and so that has been the most transformative thing for us, has been, we're going to be calendaring. We're going to have all of it in one place and organized. And we're going to share all of our calendars with each other so that I can veto something for her that she's overcommitting herself to, and she can do the same for me. And
Nice.
so, the last 2 weeks I've been overcommitted. And so she pulled me aside yesterday and had that conversation of like, you need to stop committing to stuff. Otherwise I'm going to have to start uncommitting for you.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's a great conversation to have. I mean, it's probably a hard one, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it's a necessary one. I have a one final question for you, Logan.
Sure.
Of all the things that it sounds like you're doing for other people, and also for your family, what are you doing for yourself nowadays?
Oh, great. Yeah. Uh, so this sounds crazy. Well, first off, I make sure I have blocked off in my day what we call a daily office time. It's my time to sit by myself in silence with God, pray, organize my thoughts. and spend time in devotion and things of that nature. So that happens not once in my day, but multiple times throughout my day. That is a scheduled time to protect and make sure that's happening. And that helps to keep my mind in the right place. I also, you know, I struggled with being able to find hobbies for myself to be able to be involved with for my own mental health. And so, like, I actually coach middle school boys volleyball. It has been, even though that's for others, it has been a blessing for me to be able to do that. And that gives me energy in that. We also have like I told you, the podcast, and that's a great mental health piece for me because it's just fun. It's just something that I get to really, kind of let loose on. um and then it's just time with my family. I'm energized by time with my family, so it's making sure we have that time protected. We really believe in Sabbathing, and so our Sundays are protected time. We don't do anything related to work on those days, and so that's a once a week time that we make sure is protected. And we actually make sure the rest of our week is scheduled in a way to do that, to protect that time. And
Nice.
so that's really important for us. And we adhere to that, not just myself, not just my wife, but as a family,
Nice.
as a family unit, we protect that time.
That's beautiful, man. Logan, thank you so much for all of the wisdom, and I'm so grateful for you jumping on this podcast to be able to talk about and fatherhood and also helping other fathers as well. So forever grateful. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it.
Of course.